Hello and welcome to Ferri Unfiltered. Today I have an amazing guest. I have the lovely Natalie Valenti. Hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
I'm very honoured that you're coming on this just before a wee conversation when I said, and you were like, I've been asked to go on podcast before and I've said no and I'm now here.
I know.
I
know. I need to keep practicing what I preach, which is just say yes and do it scared, because I say it to people all the time. But I do feel really comfortable with you.
Oh, that's nice.
See, yeah.
Well, we were saying just before we were starting, like I felt very comfortable with you when I went to the hot yoga, because it took a lot for me to go to that, and I was a bit like, because I knew it'd be really good for Laura, and I was like, right, I'll go for Laura. And when I went, and then we did the breathing, and then we did the cold water therapy, and I was like, and I lasted a lot longer in that bath than I thought, because I was like, this is horrendous when I first went in it. So obviously, Natalie, you are a yoga master. I like to call you a yoga master.
Thank you. I'll take it.
You are an expert at what I feel. You're fantastic at what you do with the cold water therapy. So today, like I was saying earlier on, we were very comfortable when I was talking to you in your studio. And some things you say to me made me really think you'd be a fantastic guest in a podcast. So as we said, we'll go with the flow of this whole chat.
Sure.
But why don't we say even dive into the beginnings? Like, why did you even want to start yoga?
So all of my life, from when about the age of 10 to about 16, I always had a terrible pain in my neck.
Right.
Don't know why. Didn't know why at the time. My parents really thought it was like growing pains or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it would really only flare up kind of twice a year, to the point where I would have to go into school, no joke, with a little Avid Marian neck brace on.
Oh, no way.
How embarrassing. So we thought it was a trapped nerve. My parents thought it was growing pains. We didn't really know what it was. Anyway, I got through to my adult life and I thought to myself, I can't cope with this, trying to have a job and then having to be off work because I can't move. So I went and got myself an x-ray. I paid for an x-ray at a chiropractor. I didn't want to be adjusted. No. I just wanted to see what my body was like. And as soon as the guy did the x-ray, he was like, you've got scoliosis.
Oh, wow. So
I didn't know what that was. So it can be very, very extreme. For anyone that doesn't know what scoliosis is, it's basically if I was to look at you straight up and down as a skeleton, your spine would be straight up and down.
Yes.
Mine goes in the shape of an S, so scoliosis, which means that I'm slightly off alignment, unfortunately. And that can cause extreme pain because these muscles are, making up for these ones. So obviously looking into different things at that age, I didn't want to go down the route of doing what I was doing, which was taking every painkiller known to man, which is what the doctor was giving me from the age of 16. Diazepam,
Whoa.
I know.
Some strong shit there.
I know. At that age, I was just like out of the game, and I thought that was normal.
Right.
As I got older, I thought I need to try and fix this. And one of my doctors said, "Why don't you try yoga?" And I went with my mum. My mum is a big yogi. She's done it for years and years and years, and I hated it, to be honest with you, when I first started. I thought, this is so boring. How boring. I'm paying this woman to just lie here. Now I know it's the best thing in the whole wide world.
Yes.
To be able to do that. But what it did was it helped me to manage that pain. So I experimented with it for a few years with, as you do, if you're going to the gym, I wonder if I could just go a few times and then never go again. Wonder if my body would be the same. It doesn't work that way. So I had moments of total clarity, no pain, and then I would stop doing my daily practice and I would be in pain straight away.
Right, okay.
So I kind of was forced into it. That was my life. I was forced into doing yoga, and I'm so grateful because I think everyone should be forced into doing yoga at some point.
It's amazing how things happen for a reason, and you're now. So when you talk about daily practice, do you actually do yoga every day?
Every day. I have to do it every day. So it's very different to what it was then. And in my 20s, my 30s now, I'm in my 40s. My daily practice is maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
But I know the moves to do to mobilise my spine and my neck.
Yes.
That's it. So I would be crazy not to do it.
I've been incorporating a lot of yoga into my warm-up drills in the gym, be it my own personal, when training myself, training clients, and like even a group training session. I've been finding that's what I've been doing. It's so good.
It's amazing.
What would you say is your favourite yoga move?
My favourite yoga pose? No one's ever asked me that.
I know.
Oh, my Lord.
There we go.
Probably child's pose.
By the way, that is mine. I'd quite enjoy that. I actually was doing that this morning with the sessions.
Me too.
Aye.
That was my pose this morning. I just literally head down. I love it because it brings me into the present moment. So that is my yoga practice now, is being here rather than trying to look any particular way.
Yeah.
But I still get those movements in from my neck and my shoulders.
So you did yoga and you practiced. Now we've just obviously found out as we're walking in from the car park here that you used to work in the same gym as I did. Yes. So did you, what you were saying was the same as me. I used to just basically, what class you want me to take? That's fine, I'll take it. And I just did it with all the council gyms, and I just did it. So is that how, obviously you were going to yoga with your mum, you started doing it, you started practicing it, you went away, you did your qualification, and then was it just a case of just gradually building from there?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, for the first couple of years of practicing yoga, from the age of about 16 to 18, I was there for my mum. Mm-hmm. She wanted someone to go with, and I was kind of the next in line to be there with her. I never really noticed the true power of the benefits of yoga until 2 years later, when I became a single mum at age 19 with 2 babies. So you can imagine life, that was not my plan.
Right.
But that's the direction that it went in, and I realised suddenly at that point, when I had to then give birth and look after babies by myself, how agile I was, how strong I was, how I was able to get some sleep and wake up feeling rested.
Yes.
So that was what made me really think, I need to share this with people. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it straight away. Obviously, I was busy being a single mum and being 19 and having 2 babies.
Yes.
So I didn't actually do my qualification till 2009.
Right, okay.
In between, I studied fashion. I had different jobs in that. But I was always looking for some sort of balance.
Go and tell me one of your funniest jobs. Go and tell me one, not even funny, go and tell me one of the jobs you're just like, oh.
One of my jobs that I did back in the day.
Back in the day?
Oh, like promotional things. I did all the promotional stuff, like just ridiculously. I had to be painted gold once and stand in the window of Buddha Bar on their opening night. I mean, no.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting driving home with a gold
I hope you had some sea covers and stuff. I do enjoy people's old jobs that they used to do. I've had some, I think I've done hundreds of jobs. Yeah. I mean, but look to where I always now, I look at things and sometimes you go, oh, I can't believe I've done that. But go to where you were.
It's experience.
You're learning from it. And if you've got, I mean, if you ever wanted to be painted gold again, you can at least say,
that's it.
I know how to do that. I mean, so that's the thing. So you've done that. So you qualified then, and so you were constantly practicing it, and we were talking. So did you start really the breathing and the cold water therapy? Was that during lockdown then?
Yeah.
How did
it's still a new thing.
Well, how did lockdown hit you with yoga? Like, how did you feel with that?
Well, obviously I lost my job.
Right.
You know, straight away. Of course, a lot of people taught online. I had to do that as well. I had no other choice. I don't enjoy teaching online. Mm-hmm. You don't get the same connection. No. You don't get the same feedback. There's not the energy that you have in a yoga class that inspires you as a teacher to say what you're going to say. Mm-hmm. Years ago, when I was working for North Lanarkshire Leisure and doing all of that, I would have had a class plan. Mm-hmm. So I knew what I was going to say, whereas now I go with the flow of the room. I have to wait and see how people feel.
Yes.
Sometimes people come in and I can see that they're exhausted. Mm-hmm. So for me to do a really strong class with them is just really selfish.
Yes.
So I had to go online, obviously, and teach yoga. I loved it, though. I loved the fact that it gave me time back for myself. Mm-hmm. That was what I really loved about it, was to get up in the morning and just set the scene for my own day.
Yes.
Is just absolutely magical. And that's what I really preach now, is get up early and do something for yourself before you speak to anybody else in your house, never mind anyone else in the world. So you are almost, I feel like when I do my breath work and my cold water, which I have done this morning, it's like a suit of armour. Mm-hmm. It's like a magical force field.
Yeah. That
life is still happening around me, of course. You know, life's hard. It's going to keep coming at you. But I feel as if over the couple of years, like being consistent with the breath and the cold water, I feel as if it just bounces off me.
I think it's brilliant. It's mine's as in extreme as yours, because then you get a wee bath thing like yours. But even just the cold showers I do every day, every time I go for a shower. And I remember that the other week, I've been doing it for, I would say, at least 2 years now, just doing the cold showers at the end of my shower. I just run it on and I just stick my head out and I go for it. And I make sure, because I remember talking to you and you were like, your shoulders, when I was going in the bath, that'll be like the bit you go,
get them in.
Get them in. And now I always make sure, like, I'll spin round and I'll just soak my shoulders and I make sure, like, I feel the cold. But knowing that I don't do it, I'll quite happily just see if I start getting dried, I'll be like, oh shit, get back in. And then I like you say, it's just like that.
Yep.
But it's the same with me, like my training. I'm the same with my training. Like this morning, I was like a lot on it. I'm going to do the podcast, blah blah blah. And I was like, no, you've got enough time to train. And it's like I set the treadmill up. I had sprints. I had a bar. And I went, don't overcomplicate it.
Totally.
And just do that.
Just making it non-negotiable, I think.
Yes.
But it's non-negotiable for yourself, which I think is huge. And there's times where I overcommit myself still, get excited about things and like, yeah, I'll do it. And if I don't have that time in the morning for myself, the anxiety's back. I can feel it starting to rise up in my chest again. It's a horrible, horrible feeling.
Yes.
And actually the impact that COVID and lockdown and all of that had on me that's the first time that I ever experienced anxiety.
Right, okay.
Or that I could kind of call it that. Obviously, I've had it in my life. I was a single mum of 2 babies. Obviously, I've had anxiety before. But back then, nobody really spoke about it. It wasn't a word that you heard. So when I realised that actually that's what it was, I had to make it non-negotiable for me. So it's really about putting yourself first, which a lot of people struggle with. Parents struggle with putting themselves first. How can I do that when I've got a baby in the morning and I've got school run? I've got to do all of that stuff as well. So it's making the time to go to bed earlier, set your alarm earlier. And I tell you, when it went off this morning, I would have loved to have just pulled the covers over my head and just have been cozy. But I know that it sets my day off in a spiral rather than feeling as if you're in control. I
completely agree with you. Like you say, like, it's making that time for yourself. That alarm, getting up, like sleeping in, and then what's happening, you're chasing your tail.
Scary.
You have to get the kids to school. The kids are then flustered. Then the kids get upset when they're going to school in nursery because you're rushing them. Totally. They feel rushed and then they've got that.
So you're putting your energy onto them and then they put their energy into the kids at school and then they act up and it's a massive ripple effect.
It is. And I love what you're saying because I feel with a routine, you're better. Like you've got that set of sex structure, and getting some time for yourself is very important. Like I'll put my phone in airplane mode, just put my audiobook in or a podcast like we were talking, and I go a walk. But from my house, there's like a wee nature walk, and I disappear in there. One, because I know I can't get a phone signal, so even if my airplane mode took off, and then I'd be like, I'm fine. And secondly, there's just silence. Yeah. And if I don't want to listen to my music or my podcast, I just listen to like it sounds like naff, but like the birds chirping and the leaves blowing, and I just walk, and I like walking in the rain. But that's my non-negotiable. I just go my walk. Yeah. And I think it's the best thing for you.
It's keeping it simple, as you've said. I've done this in the past before and done it with people that I've worked with, clients making these really intense morning routines. They've got like 10 things to tick off. It doesn't work.
No.
It'll work for one day.
Yes.
So keeping things as simple as possible.
I think it's the best way. And like you're saying, like people from like our age group and that, you've got kids, you've got stuff like that, it becomes very overwhelming. It's the easiest thing that can knock you off your routine. Do you know what I mean? So keeping it simpler, the better. Yeah. So you were during lockdown, like I was the same, like I had to go online as well. And it's not like, I was used to like boot camps for anywhere from like 25 to 50 people. Wow. And it's, then all of a sudden it's like, hi guys, who yous? And you see everybody's living room and I'm in my dining room.
Nobody says anything back.
Everybody's silent. Their screens are off. And you're like, I used to say to them, see if your screen's off, I'm just assuming you're naked.
Yeah.
Right? And they'd be like, I'm not naked. And you'd be like, well, yeah, let's just put your screen on. Right? And they'd be like, someone would be like training their pyjamas. And sometimes what I would say was like, boom, bad routine. I said, you're literally funny about it. I says, put your gym leggings, your gym shorts and stuff like that. I says, just you're not doing this in your pyjamas. No. I was like, no. I said,
put them at the end of your bed. Mm-hmm. So when you wake up in the morning, they're there. And that's actually what I do with my yoga mat. So my yoga mat lives at the side of my bed. It's kind of just looks like a rug. Because if I step out of it in the morning and I'm on it, I'm in it.
That's it.
I'm in it.
I like that.
It's a really, really good tip. Even if you've got literally that 10 minutes that I did this morning, your first thing your feet touch are your yoga mat, you're in child's pose, you're grateful, you're saying thank you, I'm breathing, I'm setting the scene for your day.
Totally.
And then you can get off and toddle about and do whatever.
I like that, by the way. Because I'm just meeting...
steal that.
I'm going to steal that, because the girls have just got their bunk beds and they've got this wee spare room now, and I was like, put my desk in it, I'll put my yoga mat in it, and I could do that.
Which sounds lovely, but actually if you step out and you're on it, you've got no choice.
Aye. I don't know if I've got that much room, not enough, but I'll try. but no, this is good. So you were doing did you keep doing your daily practices all the way through lockdown as well, keep your head safe?
Yeah.
And when
I
you were
did it
doing
more so in lockdown than any other time. Yeah, it was great.
During lockdown, I liked the thing I did enjoy about lockdown. I try to look at the positives out of lockdown, and this was the thing I did. One, I bought more time back with my girls and my wife, and I loved that. Obviously not seeing family and friends was very difficult, but things I did enjoy was I would do my class, I would do my sessions, and then I would have my time, I'd do my admin and that, my routine, but I was all of a sudden buying back more time for me, and it made me realise certain things, like I really need to look after myself more, like meditations. So we were talking about like meditations, and I started looking at the whole Wim Hof, the whole breathing thing. Is that when you started looking at it as well then? So go on, tell me a wee bit more about that then.
So people think that this has been, people say, oh, you're the expert. And I'm like, I'm really not the expert. I am very much, when I'm with people at Soulful Sunday or in the studio getting into the ice bath, I'm telling them I'm in it with you. I'm walking in beside you. Because it never gets any easier. I don't think you ever become an expert at sitting neck deep in ice.
It's interesting.
Different days are different, especially when you're a woman and you're on this 30-day cycle. Some days are great. The next day could be absolutely horrendous.
Right, okay.
But yeah, that was really when I got into it, and I needed it at that point.
Right, okay.
So if I take you back to lockdown, it was great, wasn't it, for the first 2 weeks,
barbecues, everybody's like that.
As it turned out, we were on holiday the week before lockdown. We were in Lanzarote, and I was saying to my husband then, why don't we just stay here? Everyone's buying pasta and toilet rolls at home. Why don't we just stay an extra week and let all that blow over? Thankfully, we didn't. We got the last flight out of Lanzarote, came home. My dad had lined up lots of toilet rolls and pastas at my door, which I was super grateful for. And the first couple of weeks was a party.
I know.
Everyone, we just didn't have a clue what was going on. It was scary, and there was things happening outside in the news. We just switched that off. But it actually really made me feel, I think, from working so hard for years and years and years, to have a switch off, I then felt as if my vibration dropped or something. And I think it gave me time to then really think about, this is the problem, gave me time to think about my problems and my bills and all of these type of things, which I never normally do. Normally I'm just like, just keep going. Yep. And there's that kind of phenomenon where people sometimes go on holiday once a year, and as soon as they land on holiday, they become sick. They get the cold or the flu, and it's because their body's switched off. So I think that's what happened to me. I did enjoy the first couple of weeks, and then I started to have what I thought was a heart attack. And it went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, to the point where my body was really, really coiling itself up a lot. I found that I was having tension in my fists, everywhere.
Right. Okay.
I didn't say to anybody, because obviously everybody's panicking about life anyway. I thought, I don't want to add this onto it. I'm having a heart attack. I'm just not going to tell anyone. And I know how to breathe. I'm a yoga teacher. I've done that forever. But I couldn't catch a breath. Okay. So I would breathe in to about a third of my lungs, and I felt as if, this is how I explained it, as if there was an elastic band around my heart. I could only in and out like that. Which of course is a panic breath. So what was happening to me over this course of about 3 weeks was a panic attack, which I knew nothing about.
Oh my God.
Eventually I said to my husband, look, I think I'm going to die.
Right, okay. Let's see.
Genuinely, I was serious. It was so physically debilitating and so physically painful that we phoned an ambulance.
Wow.
Yeah, which is I'm quite embarrassed about now because I've never phoned an ambulance and it was clearly a waste of people's time.
No, not at all.
But they came, they were amazing. They stuck all these things on me and they were like, you've got the healthiest heart we've ever seen. And the guy was really cool about it. He was like, you're panicking? And I was like, what do you mean? And I think I had compartmentalized in my mind that some people are panickers, some people are anxious. Because you can't see that. That's an anxious person. I'm not an anxious person. No. I see myself as being a confident person. So to suddenly have this stamp, I literally felt as if it was like branded anxious, and I hated it.
I can see your point.
So they didn't do anything, obviously. They were like, speak to your doctor. And I thought, oh, no, I'm not speaking to the doctor because they'll want me to have antidepressants and all of these things that I'm just not going to go down that route. I know that they're great and some people absolutely need them, but I thought I'm going to try and figure this out myself.
Okay.
So it went on and on and on, this feeling of constantly, just couldn't breathe. And I came across Wim Hof, actually. It was on Netflix, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's really
it was
good.
The Yes Theory. I think that was who it was by. It might have even been on YouTube. And I hate being cold. I have to put that out there to people because people say, oh, you must love... I hate being cold. I'm naturally a cold person.
Aye.
So I remember thinking, I'm going to die if I go in this water. But I really loved the concept of that documentary. They were showing that it was like an intervention. And that was what I needed. I needed an intervention. I didn't need something that was going to be slow and steady. I needed to feel better because I'm the mum.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be here for the rest of my family that are also stuck in the house.
You want to support them and be the strong figure.
Yes. So I got myself online. I got this little tiny plastic blue tub. It's on my social media because I filmed it. Because I thought, I'm going to die here. I'm going to go out in style.
Right. Well, I mean, why not in a blue tub?
And Chris, see, at that time, it wasn't part of a journey. It wasn't part of a journey. No one was going to know about this. This was me in my back garden in this bucket trying not to die. That was how extreme it felt. And yeah, my first ice bath, it was crazy. It took me about 20 minutes of looking at the water before I actually dared to move.
Right, okay.
I don't even think I breathed. Or when I look at the video, I'm like hyperventilating. But what happened when I came out was pure relief.
Aye.
My whole body and my whole mind. And it's because in that water for about 2 seconds at that point, I thought of absolutely nothing. And that was the point where I thought, oh my God, I need to tell people about this. So I then did the Wim Hof course.
Okay.
I thought, I need to learn. I didn't want to become one of his practitioners. I just wanted the information purely for myself.
Yeah, totally. No.
And I did that thing again where, if you could go to the gym once, maybe you're healed. It doesn't happen that way. So I know now that there is no such thing as an anxious person or this or that. Anxiety will grab you at some point in your life.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, how successful you are, how perfect your life may seem. Be ready for it. That's all I can say is be ready, because when it comes, there are ways that you can manage it.
I can totally relate to everything you're saying. And this is why I'm very grateful for sharing this part of it. We're no stopping, by the way. We're going to keep going. But this is the thing that grabbed me when we were talking, is when you said the feelings and how you were feeling and going in that bath and doing that, is that, like, see, when you said like, phone an ambulance, we were ready to phone an ambulance. I remember being in bed and hearing the dum dum dum, and I was like, what is that noise? And I was lying in bed, so I was just out of hospital, and I was like, what is that noise? And
it actually makes my heart hurt thinking about it. It makes it tight thinking about it.
I just get dead.
It's terrifying. And people are having this every day of their lives and going to work and not telling anybody, and they're just in this. It's terrifying.
I think it's frightening, because you look at the statistics, and it was like talking about, these are obviously took from like an American poll, and it was talking about or American research, and it was saying how the most common heart attacks happen on a Monday morning for men in America. And you're like like you're saying, their heart must be just racing, because I remember hearing my heart and going, sounds like a bloody train.
Yeah.
And then like going in there and see that whole, can I get a breath? Why can't I breathe? Oh my God, why can't I breathe? And I remember actually having the house phone. I don't even use the bloody house phone. And I remember taking it to Laura, and Laura said, you all right? And I'm like, phone me an ambulance. And I was like, and she's like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And then it was into a point where I don't know why, but I phoned my friend, and she talked me down.
Wow.
And she was like, she knew, because
I was convinced that it was a physical thing. There was no way this was happening in my mind.
Yeah.
It was pain, physical. So it's really took me on that wee journey of realising, I've known this all along, that everything's connected, but until you feel it yourself, and I'm so glad now that I felt it myself, because I can now empathise with everybody else. You know, people that have maybe said to me in the past, and I'm sure it has happened, someone somewhere in one of my crazy jobs would have said, you know, I don't feel good today, or I don't feel like myself, and I would have thought, oh, whatever, you know, just crack on.
Right, exactly.
You know, cheer up, you know, cheer up type thing. It's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do. You can't just snap out of it.
Nope. I totally agree. And did you? So you had that moment. You did that ice bath. Did you just get up the next day and do it again?
Yeah.
And then you just kept going?
I did it for the first week, and then I thought, right, I must be fixed now. I don't have to put myself through this anymore. You little ice bath are going in the bin. We'll never have to see each other again. That was what I really hoped. And that's what I did. I experimented with it. I thought, oh, I'll try it now. And then I missed it for a few days. And then I would feel that my breath changing. What I found long term with it is that it has brought me down to a completely different level of everything in my life. In terms of stress management. And when you look into this, of course, the cold is a major stressor.
Yes.
You know, it's one of the most stressful things you could ever put yourself through, is to sit in ice and calm your mind. But what I've realised long term is that it does help you to manage the stress of life.
I completely agree. I was sitting in that bath out your bag. Yeah, people are like, what the hell's going on? So Natalie has it's got the ice baths out her bag.
Yes.
She's got her yoga studio. Just in case saying, what are you two all about?
That is actually, this is what happened in lockdown, right? So to finish off that story, and then I had this ice bath and was doing all of these things, and then we got a little bit of freedom, didn't we, at some point? I can't remember what the dates were, but it was some sort of freedom. People were able to do things again, and I said to my husband, look, I know we don't have any money left, because he's a musician, I was a yoga teacher, there was no furlough, there was nothing. So we had spent all of our lives saving money to have this pot. I don't really know what the pot was for.
Lockdown took that pot anyway.
Lockdown cleared out that pot. The last couple of thousand that I had, I said, listen, I've got this idea. I'm going to convert the garage, which is now where I work. So I've got 10 steps to actually get to work. I don't have to go anywhere else, which is amazing. And I thought, if this helps a few people in my local area, I live in Airdrie, North Lanarkshire, I know there's people that are stressed out there. If they come, this would be amazing. And as it turned out, I pretty much lived in that garage for about a year. And it was back-to-back people in, mostly men. Didn't want to do a class. There was no classes in the studio at that time. It was just, get me in on my own. I need to come in. I need to breathe. And it was honestly a life-changing experience to see people coming in, because they would leave literally 10 years younger.
I think it's fantastic the fact he says a lot of men went, because men are murder. I know being a guy that we're just murder. We don't
even
talk.
Think about that first yoga class that you came to.
Yeah.
It's 99%. It's always women.
Oh, I was the only guy in your class.
Yeah, totally. There's always one token male, and I think good for you, for just going ahead and doing it. But it's not easy.
No,
I wouldn't want to go if it was all guys. Don't know why, but it's just not what we do, is it? So. Yeah, it's that it was mostly guys that I had in at that time that were doing one-to-one sessions.
That's great. And the fact that they're willing to do that is a massive step for what some of them as well. Do you know what I mean? We started a men-only gym session in our gym, and it started literally just after lockdown. Get a couple of guys together, they'll train before maybe they take the kids to clubs, but a lot of them were like, I'm really struggling. But they would say to me, and I'd be like, we need to do something here. And I was like, but then I was finding my training was being affected, my other coaches, males were being affected, and I was like, And a couple of the coaches came in, why don't we all just train this Saturday morning, like 7:15?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, for God's sake, 7:15. But I was like, no, that's maybe quite a good idea. And we did that, and it's grown to like, there's like 50 odd guys in this chat, and it's like, but it's just grown arms and legs to the point where you're like, but they all come down, they stay for a coffee after it. But I get them doing like a lot of yoga poses. And they say nothing. They just do it, and they're like, my hips feel great, man. My lower back feels great. I'm like, by the way, that's called child's pose. And I'm like, aye, right. Do you know what I mean? But so you're saying that obviously last few thousand spent, you converted the garage, and then this all just started growing from there then?
Yeah, so I didn't really have a timeline on that. I didn't think this is where I'm going to work now and this is going to be this thing. It didn't have a name. It was the garage.
Oh, the one in Sucky Hall Street.
No, that one. That was many, many years ago. It was the garage, yeah. So it was just people that I knew from my gym, basically, where I was training at the time. And then they would tell their friends, so my pal from work wants to come. He's struggling. So I didn't really know a lot of the guys to start with when they started to come. And then it was really when I just was so busy, I thought, I wonder if we could just call this something. You know, so we called it the breathing room. And then we hold little small sessions and things like that as well.
See, now I'm going to get, how did you end up on the sea? Like, how did we end up here?
So the sea, or the Soulful Sunday.
Soulful Sundays,
Soulful
yes.
Sunday, as we now call it, which I'm so proud of. Because
I love it.
people know the name. People actually say Soulful Sunday.
The branding's very nice as well. I'm big in branding. I like your branding, the colours and everything like that. It's happy. That's
happy
the word,
branding.
yeah.
So that came about actually from my own personal need again. So this was February 2021. Again, we had that bit of freedom. We were allowed to drive somewhere. Myself and a couple of friends, there was only 3 of us at the time, hadn't seen each other, and we drove to Luss Beach. That's where we met. And neither of them had been in the cold water or were particularly really into yoga. So I thought, I'm going to pack some yoga mats. And I said to them, bring your stuff, bring your swimming costumes. This is February. And we'll just see if we get into the water. And I did a couple of movements, maybe about 10 minutes of yoga. And then I said, let's get into the water. Let's just do it. And we did. We got in for a couple of minutes. We came out. That really wasn't the main part of the day. The main part of the day for us was to catch up. We had snacks, we had tea and coffee and things, and we sat. Yes. It was a lovely day, and we sat and caught up for a couple of hours, right? Never thought about it again. Come the Wednesday, 2 of my friends messaged me saying, God, I feel good. Like,
oh, nice.
I've had a really good week this week. Nobody's really bothered me in work. Can we do that again on Sunday? And I was like, if you want, why not? There's nothing else was really open. Let's do it. And as it turned out, by the next Sunday, there was 10 of us. So it was people that had said, my sister wants to come and my friend at work really needs to come. So there was 10 of us. I wasn't charging for it at that time. It was just a wee meet up. Again, I started to do everyone a bit of yoga, a bit of breath work. Each week that we met up, I took it a stage further. So I was kind of drip feeding them into looking into themselves rather than just going with the flow of life and getting dragged along as we do.
Yes.
Could you have to go easy with your friends when you're into this type of stuff? As you know, they think you're completely insane.
Aye.
So I thought, we'll drip it in. And it would come to about the 3rd week that one of my friends, we sat down outside the water at the end, and she went, oh, what a soulful Sunday. And I was like, yes, it was a Soulful Sunday. And then I thought to myself, I'm going to put it out online. So the first one that we did, we had 20 people. Again, we didn't charge for it at that time, but we had about 50 people looking for tickets. So it was a free ticket, but I thought just 20. And then the next week I thought, I'm going to go for the 50. And as it's my job and I need to make an income from it, and I'm putting all of my effort into it, I'm going to ticket it. I'm going to sell it as a ticket event. And then we did that once a month, and then people were literally saying, can you not do it next week? Like, what am I going to do next week if I'm not here? And I was thinking, well, if you want to come, I'll do it. And we've never missed a Sunday in nearly 18 months.
I think it's great. Like, see some of the weather you do, and like that one I went to you with you, I was like, well, this is wild.
Yes.
But I just think it's great.
Who cares?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
You're getting wet anyway.
Yeah. It's amazing to see people arriving and they've got this look on their face as in, are you insane? This woman, you know, a lot of people that are come, I don't know them. And they arrive thinking I've got a gazebo or heaters, and they're like, is this it? And I'm like, yeah, this is it. So you're either going to commit to just getting wet and windy and getting out of your comfort zone, which is the main thing, or don't do it, just watch. And who would want to actually watch? Because the transformation within that hour is unbelievable.
Definitely. It's
crazy.
That going in the sea, I find going in the sea easier than the bath.
Yes, it is.
Is that like a common thing?
Yeah.
But when you're in there, the one with it was at Luss I was last at, and it was just like, I was like, this is just great. And like people were like, oh my God, I'm cold in it. And everybody was like screaming, and you're like, they're going through their own emotions and they don't know how. But for me, I had like such a stressful shit week. It was just one of the weeks that I felt everything was happening to me. I spent, and then that night I went home and I actually slept. And I was like, this is great. Yeah. And it's like the one on the beach, is it the Burnt Island one? Like just sitting in the sea, you've got your incense. I love incense, by the way. See the gym, we burn incense. People through boxes. It's so random. I love the smell of coffee. I know we were talking about caffeine and stuff. I love the smell of coffee. And but the incense, I'm just like, oh, I know.
So that's just a little ritual that I do before we actually start the yoga. Everyone arrives. Usually most people are really nervous, you know, if they've never been before. Sit everybody down, and then I go round and plant incense round the whole kind of circle or square that we're sitting in. Mainly for myself, right? Okay. I have to say, because the lighting of that makes me breathe. So I'm blowing on it to fan the flames to make them bigger, and that's my own little. Now, I've never told anybody that, but I like to do that part myself, because it's then me saying, right, now we're ready. So it makes it a bit of a sacred space. You know, it's another sense. You can hear the sea, you can feel the wind, you can smell the incense. So it's bringing you into the moment. I love this. I listen to the sound of the sea when I go to my bed. I do. Yeah. We've got a lot in common, Natalie. We've just found this out all of a sudden. I love it. I totally. We went to the beach. It was actually Burnt Island. That's where I think I've got a lot of things with that, and I really like it. And when my friends came up from England, I remember lying with the girls and they were sitting playing. And then I started falling asleep, and my friend Helen's like, did you just fall asleep, didn't you? And I was like, Laura, it's because he listens to the sound of the sea every night. He must just send him to sleep. I did. Dead calming. Love it. So there we go. So it's just growing arms and legs, and it's now into this. I mean, you've got like different locations now. You've got different yoga teachers. And like, how are you feeling about that? Like, you did an event recently, did you not? The one at that festival. Yeah, so we get asked, and this is the amazing thing about opening up your classes to the world, is you don't know who's going to come. So someone came who runs, is it DF Concerts? Yes. So she deals with all of their events and was like, we would love to have you at Connect Festival. You'll have your own tent. And I'm like, yes. Let's do it. Get us there. So we took the ice baths to that as well. So I'm just going with the opportunities. It wasn't a business idea, which is what I love about it. You know, and I'm not that clever. I'm actually not that clever to sit and think of a business idea. I wish I was. This was completely organic. It's more of my baby than anything else. It pays my bills, which I'm super, super grateful for. Like, can't believe it. But it is just, it's opened up my eyes to so many other things. So rather than just having it at Luss and Aberdour, which is the only two that I can manage, because I'm only one person, I then thought to myself, I wonder if we could grow this. So my plan, if you like, is I would love to have it on every beach in the UK. That'd be amazing. Because we're the same as the people that are in Brighton. They're all struggling as well. Yes. We're the same as the people that are right up north. They're all struggling as well. Oh, imagine their beaches. You would do a road trip to that, wouldn't you? Can you imagine? So it's actually led into other things where we're now doing a teacher training course as well. So we've got 20 girls on our teacher training course. They qualify as teachers next June. And the idea is that they then all have their own little turf. Not like a franchise, but that's their baby. And we all help to build that together. That's very good. It's quite good, isn't it? That is good. I like that. I've never really said it out loud before other than in my own house. But why not? But you put it out to the universe now. That's the way I think of things. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about your job is, and what you're doing with your business is growing organically, and it's not forced. No. I think when you try and force something, it becomes something it's not you. Whereas this is you. It becomes a stress. Aye.
And a lot of it is your experiences, so like, which is very relatable, and people buy people at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? So they're going to buy into like what you're doing and seeing what you're doing and hearing your story, which I'm very grateful for you for coming on here.
Which I'm grateful for the opportunity, actually, because it's pushing me to say things that I wouldn't normally say. I am the same as everybody else. We think that social media has to be this perfect version of ourselves, but actually if you show your vulnerability, that's when people gravitate. It's when people then go, oh my God, I'm the same as her, you know, or I've been there, or they're just interested to hear it rather than this perfect being, you know. And I follow a lot of yoga teachers online, and I think, oh, why am I not like that?
I do that as well. I'm glad we have these same feelings.
Why has she got all the content and I don't have time to do that, you know, all of that type of stuff. But your own journey is your own journey.
I believe that as well, and I totally believe what you're saying, because this is the thing. It's like you'll look at people in your same industry and you're like, oh,
comparison.
How are they there? How did they get there?
I know.
But at the end of the day, like, everybody's experiencing their own things, and they're maybe going through their own shit.
You don't know.
You don't know.
No.
Some of them paint a very, very beautiful, perfect life, whereas it's not like that all the time.
No.
There's always going to be loads of things going on.
I've had a lot of amazing messages over the last couple of months since I've shared a video of my first I-step from people who have been a follower of mine for years. I don't know them, but I know they've followed me on social media, that have come to me in a private message saying, I can't believe that I'm now finding this out about you. You know, I was really struggling in lockdown, and one person actually messaged me saying, I actually muted you in lockdown because I was sick of looking at your perfect life.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that so powerful?
Aye.
And I kind of thought, oh, how rude, you muted me. And then when I read it again, I thought, that's awesome that you've come and said that to me. I don't know who you are, but I'm so glad you said it, because she's then come out of her own hole and thought, oh, I'm going to have a little look at what other people do, and then realised, oh my God, we were going through the same thing.
I think that's a good way of looking at things. When somebody unfollows you or mutes you, like, they're going through their own stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not, they maybe look at things in your life thinking you've got a lot of perfect life, but then like, it's nice for them to actually, and ballsy to come back to you. Yeah. I like ballsy, yeah, I mean, like, and come back to you and going, by the way,
I unfollowed you.
Aye. And you're like, oh,
but I'm back.
Aye. You're like, oh, well, people like boomerangs. Yeah. You're going to come back. What's some of the things that people are, obviously we're not going to name names or anything like that, but what's some of the most powerful messages you've had from like your Soulful Sundays and stuff, like maybe people's experiences or their feelings?
I've had the most amazing things. A lot from guys.
Right, okay.
I've had a few guys that have come to me saying I was really thinking of ending it, which is heartbreaking. It's terrifying to get a message like that. I've had a lot of people who have secretly kind of been struggling with cancer, like actually come through all of their treatment in lockdown, that have come out the other side and just said it's made me realise how powerful I actually am. You know, to come to Soulful Sunday and stand and consciously dip yourself in freezing cold water. Yeah. It's been amazing.
I think it's so true though. Like when we spoke about the ice bath and when I was talking to you, and I was like, I get very paranoid to take my top off. It's because I look like a pin cushion because I had like my stoma back and stuff like that. And I'm always just like, because my mate always flags me, he's like, people are either going to think it's a stoma back or you've been stabbed, right? Because and it does, it looks like a stab wound as well. But that was the thing when we were talking and I came out and it was this insane, like it was cold. There's no doubt it was a fucking ice bath. You wouldn't be cold. But when I was in there, I had this insane heat coming from where I used to have my stoma bag in the side. And it was just in my lower bowel where I knew I've always been sliced open. And I was just, and then I was speaking to you and it was just this, it was warm. Yeah. That was warm.
It teaches you how intelligent your body is. So your body has gone into that cold water and realised that that's the troubled spot. So that needs all of the blood. So it sends all of the blood into that area. That's what the heat is. It doesn't mean you sometimes you feel like you're going to explode. You're that warm in an ice bath. Very strange. For me, it's my neck and my shoulders. So I have to get them right in. I get an intense heat, but see it as a natural heat pack. So it's sending the blood where it needs to go. You get that soothing. It's anti-inflammatory. People are, there was a lady on Sunday who couldn't do the yoga at Soulful Sunday. She came along, she brought a little chair
No.
She sat down. She'll probably watch this and be like, it's me, because she doesn't really care. She's like totally cool that she can't do it because she's in so much pain. Right. She drove with her friend and she said she didn't speak the whole way to us because she was just thinking, I'm in too much pain, don't talk to me. See, when she comes out of the water, she doesn't stop talking.
No.
Because she's like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, she's like, and I'm saying, listen, don't just calm down, don't move too much. You know, you've not moved for a week and now all of a sudden you want to do cartwheels. That's incredible because it's instant.
Yeah.
It's instant.
See, seeing everybody and you put everybody in a circle. This is the thing I like about seeing you put everybody in a circle. It shows, I think, in life that, well, one, being in your swimming costume straight away is a thing for people, right? But being in that whole circle and you're seeing everybody and their own struggles, some people can go into it and you might think, how are they going to be? Like, they might go, I've never done this before, but they cope with it very well. Yep. Some people might have done it week in, week out, but maybe 1 week, do you not find it? They just go, this is horrendous today. Like, I'm really struggling. And I think that's the amazing thing. You look around that whole thing and everybody's struggling and everybody's trying to get used to it, and it's just like life.
That's why it's good to see each other when we're doing it, because if we go into ourselves, we think we're the problem. And that's what I thought when I was having these panic attacks was, there's something wrong with me. I really seen it as a major flaw. I thought, this is it, now I'm broken. When actually, if you can see that other people, and I always say in the circle, give that person across from you a little smile. And everyone goes, like this awkward, oh, help me, smile. But it's great because then we're all the same.
Yes.
We're all just exactly the same. Everybody's struggling with their own things. Some of us say it and some of us don't.
That's it. And some people do just bottle up. And like, you're getting a lot of the men talking to you. This is, I mean, it takes a lot for a guy to open up like that.
See, if everybody, I know that this would be in an ideal world, if everybody in the world would take the time in the morning to sort themselves out before they went out into the world, there would be no war. There would be none of this crazy stuff that's going on, because actually everyone would go, actually there's no need for that, you know. But because when the ego then takes over and we start to be what we think the world wants us to be, that's when the problems start to happen.
This is like, when I was driving over here, I was listening to like a TED Talks, I like all these type of things, and the one was about how we talk to ourselves. So like, these guys opening up to you, or women opening up to you, and it's a lot. It's how they talk to themselves. And there was a really good thing that the presenter said, and he said, take a picture of yourself when you were like a 2 or 3 year old and have it in front of you. Would you talk to yourself? Would you talk to that child, or take your youngest child and have your youngest child in front of you and see everything you're running through in your head? Would you actually talk to that person like that? And it's actually quite emotional when you sit and think about it, because like everybody's been in dark places, they've been through but then when you think about everything you've said, would you actually say that to that child? No, you would never say it, but you're saying it to yourself, and you're a whatever age, 30, 40, 50 year old person, you're still a child. I mean, you've still got that inner child in you, and you're just like, it's a
great exercise to do, actually, isn't it?
And it's like, and that was just
that wee person, you would never speak to that wee person like that.
You would never be, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, it's getting these people to open up is so good. Do you know what I mean? So this is really good, Natalie. I'm really chuffed to give me this podcast, by the way.
It's really exciting. It's amazing, amazing, amazing work to do. Honestly, I'm so grateful, and I don't know where it's going to go. It might not last forever, but right now it's just good vibes. That's all it is. And I think if you're on that vibration with a lot of people, it kind of becomes untouchable. I
think so. I think you're always surrounded. I always do believe the 5 people you're around all the time is who you're going to be surrounded by. You're feeding off their energy all 100%. The time, and that's the thing. And it's like, that's why I think your Soulful Sundays is great, because people are going there to, one, help themselves and look after themselves, which I think is amazing straight away. Do you know what I mean? But what you're doing, and that, even at the end of it, when you all sit and you talk and you sing and stuff like that, it's great. Do you know what I mean? Like, and some people's thing, it's not. Some people's thing, it's the matter.
On Sunday there, I heard a few people saying, "Oh, my name's Gillian, nice to meet you," introducing each other, and I thought, you know, I'm not even prompting that. That's people actually coming, and because they've shared that experience of the vulnerability, coming out the other side, they are all hugging each other, even though they don't know. They're red raw.
Aye, a year and a half, by the way.
And they're just like, I can't believe I did that. So it actually builds huge self-esteem. You know, talking about the swimsuit thing, I've had a lot of messages from women saying, what do I wear?
Really?
Yeah, that's one of my most frequently asked questions is, can I wear a wetsuit? And I'm like, no, because you won't get cold. Can I come in fully clothed? And I'm like, do whatever you want, because either way you're getting cold and wet.
Right.
But what I found is, and there's again another few women that I don't want to name them that had started out like that, that wore literally polo neck, long sleeve trousers into the water that are now in swimsuits, and they don't care.
Oh, wow.
I know. I never expected that. That was not something that when we started to do this, I thought this is going to be so empowering for people that they're going to start to love themselves. But that's what's happening.
Oh, there you go. Soulful Sunday swimsuits.
Yes.
By the way, I'm just saying there, seeing you bring out the shorts, I would like a free pair of shorts. I've just given you that idea there. I like an electric orange with a Soulful Sunday. I'm going with it. I think this would be good. So we'll go on to, let's move on to our next bit then. So Natalie, we're now on to this next bit. The wee last bit of the podcast that I like doing. We've had a deep and meaningful conversation, which was lovely. So I liked it. It's called Ferri Unfiltered.
Okay.
So I usually ask people, I know you don't really drink coffee now, but you say you liked it, but you don't drink it as much.
I adore coffee, but it just makes me insane.
Oh.
Makes me lose my mind. It's just jittery and I can't have it.
You can't have it at all now? No. Well, what hot beverage would I get you then if I had to meet a hot beverage?
Oh, a coconut chai latte, please.
Oh, that's so yoga-y, it is unbelievable.
I know.
Right, but do you know what? You're a yoga teacher, so I totally expect that. This is the big question, though, and I really hope this amazing podcast doesn't get ruined by me asking the next one, right? I like to ask all my guests what type of pizza they would have. If we to order a pizza and get a pizza in, what would you have in your pizza?
Induja. Induja. Is that how you call it?
Induja?
Induja. It's an Italian sausage.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you'd hit me on another yoga thing.
No.
I'm like, what yoga crap are you putting in this?
It's probably not how you pronounce it, but every time.
Right, okay. So like an Italian city sausage on your pizza.
Yeah.
Normal base?
Oh, no, thin, crusty.
Right, okay. Right, over jamming here.
Yeah.
You're fine. You can stay then. Yes. I had my friend on the other week and he hit me with a ham and pineapple. I was ready to hit him with the pizza. Wow. I know, it was quite disappointing. 30 years of friendship ruined. Right, so there we go. So we've got our hot beverage and we now have our pizza. Now we're going to invite some people. Now they can be from the past or the present.
Okay.
Now I know I've obviously said this to you before, so like who would you have as your guests coming to your dinner party?
This is a really tricky question.
I think it's really tricky, but I'm always intrigued to see who people invite.
I'm kind of annoyed because I'm going to probably think about this for the rest of my life. I'm going to change my mind.
You'll listen back to the podcast and you'll be like,
no, I wouldn't. So my first guest would be Prince.
Oh, right, okay.
Because he's a genius.
He is.
Genius of a man, and I just love him, and we could have a good party. I would definitely invite my granny.
Good guest.
They would maybe get on. I never really thought about that. I'm sure they would get on.
I'm sure they'd be fine.
My gran died last year, and all the way through lockdown, my idea was, and I'm so annoyed that I didn't do it, I wanted to go and set up a camera and ask her about her life. She had 15 children.
Wow.
I know, but she was actually pregnant for 20 consecutive years. She obviously lost a few babies here and there. What an amazing story.
Wow.
And I never did it because I was second guessing myself. I thought, what if people in the family think I shouldn't have done it, or I shouldn't have bothered her, or what if I give her COVID or whatever. So I would love to be able to do that. I would like to invite Muhammad Ali in his prime.
Right.
Young man, boxer. I love boxing, and I just loved his energy.
I loved his confidence.
So amazing. Maya Angelou, who is I don't even know what you would call her. I guess a writer from back in the day. I'm going to send you some of her stuff. She's got this creamy voice, and she has this amazing story where she was She was abused as a child, and she actually went mute from the age of 7 to 5. She didn't talk for 5 years, not a single word. But what she did was she went to her library and she read every single book. Oh, wow. So she's so educated, and she wrote this poem called Still I Rise about that experience. So it was, I'm not going to try and say it, but she says, and still like dust, I rise. Amazing, amazing woman. You're going to love her.
Oh, definitely send me this.
My 5th one, Bob Marley.
Oh, we're going for him.
100% Bob Marley.
I think this would be quite an entertaining party. But I mean, your gran could handle 15 Wayne, she could handle them.
She would have them all in line, ready to go.
You're singing that song. I mean, no, what an amazing guest.
Yeah, the freedom fighter, Bob Marley. His early stuff, I'm absolutely obsessed with.
I think he's really cool. My friend went out to Jamaica, and you can go out to his grave.
Done it.
Do you know you need to leave like a joint out beside him?
Yeah.
He says that he was delighted with it. I've never been to Jamaica.
Oh, it's an amazing place. It's one of my favourite. The reason for it is because there's always a nice herbal smell all around you.
All the time.
All the time. Doesn't matter where you are. And there's always Bob Marley playing somewhere in the distance. If you listen, you will always hear some reggae music.
I do like a bit of reggae.
Yeah.
I've got Bob Marley on my Spotify as well.
Amazing.
I've got Prince.
And the jerk chicken.
Oh, jerk chicken.
And the red stripe.
Oh, Red Stripe. Red Stripe reminds me of just a night out in Glasgow.
Yeah.
It does.
Totally, same.
So these are amazing guests. There was another wee bit, obviously, I was going to ask you as well, and I don't ask all my guests this, but what I was going to say is, obviously, you've talked about this author here. Is there any books you would recommend to anybody listening that you've maybe passed or maybe something you maybe just picked up yesterday? I don't know. Maybe you're a quick reader. But is there some books that you would maybe recommend to some people?
Sure. Everything that I read is pretty much self-development.
Yeah.
I think I've only read one other book in my life that's called Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, do you know, I've heard of that, but
it was made into a movie with Julia Roberts, and it's a great book. It's a novel. Mm-hmm. It's about a woman who goes to India, Thailand, but she also goes to Italy and eats loads of pasta, and I can totally resonate with that. I feel like it's written about me.
Right, okay.
So that's a nice novel. My favourite books, I would say a book that I discovered in lockdown, which again was another game changer, called Untamed.
Right.
It's more for women.
Okay.
By Glennon Doyle, and she basically tells, it's like a memoir. It's like her adversity. She goes through addiction, she breaks up her marriage, and she basically starts her life again in her 40s. That's a really good book.
Wow.
Another book that I would definitely recommend to everybody in the world is The Power of Intention, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Love Wayne Dyer.
Sometimes I say Dwayne Wire, so it's definitely not that. It's Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer.
Power of Intention is an amazing book because it gives you tasks to do.
Oh, see, I like that.
Yeah.
I like him. His voice is dead good as well.
Amazing. So the audio was great, but then I bought the book so I could highlight and then answer the questions.
I like that. That's what I do. I've got the wee tabs that I put in bits that I see.
Because it's great to then reference back, and sometimes if I do feel as if I'm going back down the way, I can open up a book like that, and the things that I've highlighted, I'm like, but you forget. It doesn't matter how many books you read, you're never going to remember all of these amazing sections. Another ultimate favourite, you've maybe heard this before, is The Untethered Soul.
I have been told about this.
Yeah.
I've not read it though.
Most people that you ask that do what I do, I guess, would say The Untethered Soul. That's a classic, absolutely amazing book that's to help you to grow and kind of reflect back on yourself. Great books.
These are some great recommendations. I am loving this. I'll attach all the recommendations on the podcast as well so people can get them.
Awesome.
But Natalie, thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming on the podcast. I'm so honoured that this is your first podcast.
Me too.
But what a beautiful moment we've shared together. So thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.